Good afternoon, everyone. Daniel here from Single Malt Jack. Welcome back. It's the channel all about whiskey, beers and barbecues. So welcome guys. As you can see, we've got a fantastic episode for you guys today. We're going to actually be talking about this new single malt whiskey. It's Australia's newest single malt whiskey from Backwoods Distilling Co. So stick with us and I'll give you guys a little bit more of an insight into it. As I said, this is the latest, newest, greatest whiskey offering to the Australian whiskey market. Okay, it's a bottle, as you can see, by Backwoods Distilling Co. They're a tiny little micro distillery in the Victorian High Country, in a little place, I can never pronounce it, but I believe it's called Yakandanda, something like that. Check me on the comments if I've got that wrong. But essentially what we've got here is batch number 1 of their single malt whiskey release. So this distillery was set up by a young couple called, I believe their names are Lee and Bree. So back in 2017, and this is their very first batch of single malt whiskey they've released to the market. And they've only just done that last month. So there's a bottle number on here. So this is essentially, it's a 500ml bottle. Expression is a tawny port, so ex-tawny port barrel. I believe what they've done is they've sourced the barrels from the Victorian wine industry, from the wine market. So it's had ex-tawny port in there, 48%, approximately 19 standard drinks. So this is only a 500ml bottle, okay, which I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like I am getting a little bit gypped when I see 500ml bottles. I definitely prefer to have a 700ml bottle, but anyway, let's hope the whiskey flavour makes up for it. And this is bottle number 456. So I don't know how many they've made in this first batch. I don't think it's a huge number. It's all handcrafted, distilled. So they've got a custom-made copper pot still, which is 1250 litres, and essentially they make their own spirits there in the back of a shed on their property in the Victorian High Country. So, you know, shout out to you guys. It's just an absolute fantastic story. This is batch number 1, as I said, and on the back we've got the bottle date. So this was bottled on the 15th of July 2020. So they're all handwritten, and I get really excited about this sort of thing. It's just fantastic, and it's really good to see local craft Australian distilleries doing this sort of thing. So, you know, as I said, big shout out to you guys. First thing I noticed, I've literally just opened the bottle today, so I was debating whether we save the bottle because it's batch number 1, would it be a collector's edition, but I thought, you know, we're here on Single Malt Jack, we don't save bottles, we open them up and we have a good old chat about it and enjoy the whiskey. But I just love this bottle, the shape of the bottle, the cork on top. It's just a really beautiful bottle. I love their branding, nice and simple, you know, very rustic. You know, the handwritten labels and stickers and things like that. You know, very well done, guys. I noticed it didn't have a box, you know, but at the end of the day, you can't drink a box. I wasn't too fussed about that. The whiskey just came bubble wrapped up. So I'm sure they'll be working on something like that for the future. You know, in comparison, when the Archie Rose Rye Malt whiskey, their first batch came out, it came in this, you know, beautiful box. It was one of the best I've ever seen. So anyway, that's one thing there that I guess they'll improve on for next time. But as I said, you know, you can't drink a box. You know, what really counts is what's inside. And before I even tasted this whiskey, the first thing I noticed was the colour. Okay, so this is non-chilled filtered, no colouring added. And you know, the colour of that whiskey is just, I don't know if you can see it there in the light, but it's just unbelievable. You know, they've done an absolutely amazing job. I'm not sure what size barrels they put this in. You know, as I said, it's from my understanding, French oak barrels, and they've held Australian tawny port from the wine industry in Victoria. But the first thing I've noticed as soon as I've opened this bottle is that hit of tawny port just hits you straight in the face. And the other thing in there is, you know, it's I guess a little bit different in terms of the nose. I mean, it's definitely an Australian whiskey. You can pick that up straight away, but it's almost like there's a bit of a cola sort of smell on the nose, like a Coca-Cola type. Well, not Coca-Cola, but like an LA cola, like a brand of cola, and it, you know, it definitely hits you straight in the face. You get these raisins, you know, you get a bit of red wine, you know, those red type stewed berries, and it just hits you full on. You know, a little bit of espresso coffee and coffee beans in there as well. But it's just a really nice whiskey on the nose, I think, and the colour is just, you know, unbelievable. I've just opened the bottle literally half an hour ago, and I've had one before I've filmed this. Just wanted to get my head around it and you know, get a bit more of an insight to this whiskey. But to tell you the truth, that's a really nice drop. You know, the flavours I get from it straight away, you know, a butterscotch that just comes through like huge. It's just like a very soft sort of, you know, buttery whiskey. It's got expressions of espresso, so the coffee beans in there, red stewed fruits, the tawny port flavours come through. There's raisins, red grapes. It's just a big hit of flavour on the palate as soon as you taste it. One thing I definitely don't like about the whiskey is I find it a little bit harsh, on the harsher end. It's not as smooth as what I would expect for a whiskey at that price point. So I didn't mention the price, but happy to do so. I ordered directly from the factory or from the distillery, and including freight, etc., to get it here to Gold Coast on Queensland, it was just over $140. Okay, now bear in mind that's a 500ml bottle. Okay, so you know, if that was a 700ml bottle, I guess you'd be paying closer to $200. So, you know, from my point of view, anything over that $100 mark, I want that whiskey to be really good. Anything over $150, I want it to be exceptional. Do I think it's exceptional? Look, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I think it's almost there. I really do think it's almost there. I think they've done a fantastic job for batch one. But it's sort of just pushing that borderline of being an exceptional whiskey. A few little things that hold it back for me. As I said, I find it a little bit harsh. It's just a tiny bit on the harsh side, and it tastes like to me when they've done the cuts after they've distilled it, and when they've done the cuts before they barrel it, like they've put a little bit too much heads in there. It's tastes to me a little bit heads heavy, you know, with that sort of methanol type flavour. I feel like they just need a little bit less heads and more hearts to the whiskey before putting it in the barrel. I could be wrong. I just find it's not soft enough and smooth enough for my palate. The other thing I think lets it down a little bit is I find quite a lot on the nose. Like there's a lot going on the nose, a lot of good flavors on the palate. I find the palate's fantastic, and then just that finish I find just lacks a little bit of flavor. I don't know 100% how to explain it. As I said, I'm not a professional whiskey reviewer. I'm still learning the ropes as I go, but I find just on that finish, on the aftertaste, it's just lacking a bit of depth. I find it just a little bit flat. But as I said, I do think it is a fantastic whiskey. You know, as I'm talking, I'm just going to obviously put a couple of drops of water in here. I don't want to overdo it, but you know, this whiskey, as we were saying before, is at 48%, so it can definitely handle some drops of water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. I just want to let that whiskey just get a bit of oxygen into it. You know, I think it just needs to breathe a little bit. I'm going to sit here, get to know it just a little bit more. I'm hoping that finish and that aftertaste comes through a little bit more. That's what I'm really hoping. And that harshness, once I put a bit of water in, I'm hoping it'll just water it down and just settle it down a little bit and just turn it into a smoother whiskey, because it is at 48%. So there you have it, guys. The latest, the very latest and greatest offering from the craft Australian distilling industry. Big shout out to Backwoods Distilling Co from the Victorian High Country. I think you guys have done an absolute cracking job. You know, I can't imagine the feat it would take to start a distillery and get a whiskey of this quality and a whiskey this good, batch one. I mean, I just, as I said, I don't know how you guys have done it. There's definitely some room for improvement in there, but does that take away anything from the whiskey or the experience? Definitely not. I mean, it just gives you guys a higher benchmark to constantly improve your whiskey as you go. So there you have it, guys. What I didn't mention is a really important point, but this bottle, the first batch, was actually sold out in less than a day, so less than 24 hours. I think it was 12 hours or something. I managed to jump on their website and get one straight away in the first few hours, so we were actually quite lucky. But if you've missed out, you've missed out. So you can't sample batch one. You'll have to trust our review if you didn't get a bottle. It's quite a limited release. However, I have been told there's going to be a second batch coming out next month in October. So go to their website, see if you can get a pre-order or put your name in the ballot. It's definitely worth it. Support the local industry, support Backwoods, and there you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. If you liked our video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk soon. Cheers, guys.